We actually started with a budget of $30,000 in 1988. And now it's a budget of $1.6 million. And many of you know, and I'm proud to repeat it, not a single penny came from overseas. All that has been raised has been done so by our community here. And we have a 5-point plan, strategy in dealing with the current situation. And I'm going to go over that with you and ask all people that are capable of investing to invest in this plan. Because when we do, we are investing in our future. We are securing the future for our children. And we are raising our children now with an immense civic responsibility, with an opportunity. They are very talented. We need to build institutions that are going to be weathering these storms. MPAC is built to deal with these current challenges. So to donate, as is shown on the screen, through mpac.org or a check or the form on the table, please do so. Keep the donations coming. But let me go over the 5-point plan. Number one, we are going to continue to work in the area of public policy. While in the past 8 years, or longer actually, we have been working with the administration, now we're going to shift our attention to the Congress and work with our allies in the Congress to build firewalls against any policies or rhetoric that violates the civil rights of any and all Americans. We are going to work with policies that are intelligent as it relates to national security and civil liberties. We believe that we have to do both. We work in partnership with law enforcement. And let me just be very frank, we've been criticized for working with law enforcement, for our partnership with law enforcement. But I believe, and I think many of you believe, that it was the right thing to do. Because number one, law enforcement is there in force to counter any hate against our community. Number two, we are working with them to define what that partnership means. It means constitutional policing in protecting all Americans. It means that we have safety when we go to the streets and want to have our kids play in the neighborhoods. It means that our children will grow up proud of being American Muslims. That is what that true partnership means with law enforcement. And number three, we will work with career civil servants in the administration. These are people who are not political appointees. These are people that have been there, whether it's a Republican or a Democratic administration. They need us now more than ever. And I have to tell you, one other proud accomplishment for our community. In 2000, we may have had 20 Muslims working on Capitol Hill. Now we have over 5,000 Muslims working on Capitol Hill and the federal government and throughout Washington. So like I said, we're not going anywhere. And it's better to engage on these issues. And if there's going to be any loyalty tests that are going to be applied on anyone, loyalty tests are not applied on citizens. Loyalty tests are applied on those who take the oath of office to govern the American people. There was a story and there's our soon-to-be Attorney General, Xavier Becerra, who made an outstanding speech in protecting all Americans. Now, there was a story I want to tell you before I go into the next topic. David Bonnier used to be a House Minority Leader. And when he went to give a talk, he was introduced by a 9-year-old. And David Bonnier is a congressman. And he said, and the 9-year-old introduced David Bonnier, said, "Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce Congressman David Bonnier. He is a public serpent." And little did that boy know that there probably are some public servants now on the rise in our government. And I say that because it's a funny story, but also we as Muslims know what it feels like to have our faith hijacked. Now we as Americans have to work to make sure those who are attempting to hijack our democracy will fail and the Constitution will prevail. The second point, we will continue to enhance the public understanding of Muslims through Hollywood, to push Hollywood and the media to tell the American Muslim narrative. The American Muslim story has not been told yet. We are still fluctuating between the frames of victim and villain. And the teachers, the lawyers, the doctors, the engineers, all of us here in this community, we do not feel represented in the media yet. And so MPAC will continue to work with our allies and our partners in Hollywood, in the media, to do exactly that. We will promote civic engagement as we engage people of all backgrounds and all political persuasions. Now, some people think that we are only going to engage with those we agree with. That is not going to be very effective. However, I want to applaud the allies we have with here today. We have with us members of the Christian community, members of the Jewish community, the Buddhist community, the Sikh community. These are our allies that will help us take our message forward to the American public. We want to thank them. But the Quran also tells us to repel evil with good and become friends with people, not enemies. The Quran says, speak to people's hearts and soften your speech. The Quran says we can use our zakat, our alms, that is part of the 5 pillars of Islam, to do exactly that. The Quran says you work for justice even if you have to testify against yourself. The Quran says that we are a community of the middle way. We engage both sides, and we fight both extremes. We are actually fighting both extremes today. Religious extremism, if human dignity is not a part of religion, it becomes religious tyranny. If xenophobes are going to prevail in our society, they will shred the Constitution. We American Muslims are the community of the middle way that are fighting both extremes, and we are told to continue through that struggle. So we will engage with people we agree and with people with whom we disagree. And for those that we disagree with, it is time to build bridges of understanding and to do away with that sense of suspicion. And we have our civil rights allies that will help us in moving forward on that as well. The last point I want to mention before our major campaign announcement is leadership development. We have a Congressional Leadership Development Program. There are members of Congress that are asking us to bring Muslims as interns in Congress. And as the rhetoric against Muslims increased, the members of Congress who wanted Muslim interns also increased. So now we're placing Muslims in leadership in the Congress through our Congressional Leadership Program. As Omar was talking about at the beginning, all that is intended to create social change. So when you invest in MPAC, you're investing in protecting the future of Islam in America, making Islam Muslims known for their vital contributions to American pluralism. That's the social change we are seeking. Finally, I just want to mention one program that we are going to be involved in, and that is the Sanctuary Movement. The Sanctuary Movement is designed to help those who are vulnerable. And let us face it, we're not the vulnerable, we are the privileged. We have opportunity. Some of us may even enjoy a tax break with the next administration. I'm asking you, take that money you will get from the tax break, invest it in this program. That will give you more dividends than anything else. And the sanctuary movement now has been adopted by 3 major cities. They are Chicago, now they're Los Angeles, Chicago, and New York City. They've all adopted the sanctuary movement, where these cities will protect undocumented workers, refugees that are being targeted for deportation and any illegal detention. So in your packet, in your program, you have the sanctuary resolution. Take a look at this. So far, 300 cities have adopted the sanctuary movement. We want you to take this and go to your city or your campus and have this resolution adopted. And if you need help, we want you to call us and do exactly that. By protecting the vulnerable in our society, we make America a better place to live. Justice is not defined by how you appease the wealthiest and the strongest and the most powerful in society. Justice is defined when you represent and serve the weakest of our society. That's what MPAC is doing. That's what I'm asking you to invest in. So, with that, we are struggling for the soul of our faith. And now we are also in the midst of struggling for the soul of America. MPAC is leading our country, not just the Muslim community, but leading our country in preserving the Constitution as our system of government and bringing democracy to our society, making America a stronger nation and a better nation, and that will help protect all of us, including and especially you, the American Muslim community. Thank you very much. I hope that you support these 5 initiatives, and I hope to talk to you more about how we can engage the various communities here. Thank you for making this a historic evening for the Muslim Public Affairs Council. Salam alaikum.